Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another session on DevSpace webinar series heading towards TADAC 2015. Today, we are going to present our new TAP IDE, which is an integrated development environment developed specially for telco application developers. So, before moving to today's webinar, let's get a quick recap on what we have done on our past webinars. During our first webinar, we covered how you can create a telco application with Node.js. On the second webinar, we covered how Zenith Mobile APIs can be integrated with IoT. During the last webinar, we showed you how to develop telco applications with our new WebRTC API. So if anyone missed out the previous webinars, you can always catch them up at our website devspace.zenithmobile.com, or you can visit Zenith Mobile YouTube channel to stay tuned with us. Moving to today's webinar, let's see topics that are being covered during today's session. First, we will do a simple introduction on the new TAP IDE, and then we will discuss about the common challenges developers face during the application developments. Also, we will see how the TAP IDE has addressed those issues and how developers can benefit with this new IDE. At last, Nitya will do a coding session explaining how easy to create your SMS and USSD applications with this new TAP IDE. First of all, we'll see what is TAP IDE. TAP IDE is an integrated development environment that integrates TAP SDK components to build, test, run and package telco applications. With this, developers have no need to leave the IDE throughout the lifecycle of the application development. Basically, the IDE is based on Intellij IDEA, which is already a great IDE and one of the most popular and widely used IDE for enterprise level application developments. Next thing is, this IDE is totally free of charge and you can use it on any of the major operating systems. It may be Windows, it may be Linux, or it may be even Mac. What you have to do is, you simply just download it, install it, which will take not more than 5 minutes to start developing your own applications. TAP IDE is bundled with all the libraries that you need to develop telco applications using Zenith Mobile APIs. Also, it will simplify the testing and the simulation process with its inbuilt simulators. And also the IDE will comes with the several application templates which you can run instantly to match all your business needs. And it will also have the integrated API guides to help you throughout the application development process. Now you might think, I am used to Eclipse or NetBeans or Intellij IDEA. Why should I switch to IDE specialized in telco application development? Well, the main reason was there were common challenges faced by developers which we got to know after analyzing the feedback received from our developer community. As per them, even with whatever the available resource, the developing application is not that much easy. Now let's say you want to create an application. So first you have to go to the DevSpace website and you have to download all the TAP SDK, simulators, developer guides, and if needed sample applications. Not only that, if in order to build that application, you want to download extra build tools such as and another dependencies and the libraries. Not only that, when it comes to USSD application, it's being total hassle for developers to handle USSD sessions properly, which makes the most of the developers reluctant to develop USSD applications. So basically, the TAP IDE has addressed all the above issues and further simplified the telco application creation using Zenith APIs. Let's see what's new in TAP IDE. When you start using TAP IDE, you will see it has several application templates with the required libraries and documentations. It also comes with an inbuilt simulator, so you don't have to leave the IDE in order to test your application. For developers who are interested in creating USSD applications, now you don't need to worry about the session handling. Since IDE is coming with inbuilt USSD session handling support, you can only focus on your business logic of the application, which brings you closer to your application. Finally, the IDE has the support to auto-generate code snippets for all the supported Zenith Mobile APIs, which developers can use to create telco applications in a matter of minutes. Other important thing is TAP IDE will automatically get all the API updates for you and you don't need to keep track of SDK versions anymore. So hope you got an idea about what is TAP IDE and what is capable of. Now Nitya will show you how quickly you can develop your next SMS and USSD applications with this new TAP IDE.
Yes, Durga. So how do you get your hands on the IDE? Let me show you how. Basically, there are two ways to get the IDE. First, you can clone the project from the GitHub repository and build it by yourself. The link for the repository is github.com/zenithmobile/tap IDE, or you can download the build file from our website devspace.zenithmobile.com. So once the IDE is downloaded, you just have to extract it and move into the extracted location. I extracted into HMS software and then move into the TAP IDE and move into the bin folder to open up the IDE. For Linux users, you just have to execute the ./idea.sh and wait for the IDE to boot up. So at the initial installation, it will ask whether to import setting from a previous installation or not. I don't have a previous installation, so I'm just gonna say OK for this and wait for the IDE to boot up. Okay, so at the initial installation, it will ask the theme and the icons and the basic settings whether to enable them or not. I'm just going with default settings, and it will ask my PC password and click OK and wait for the IDE to boot up. So this is the welcome screen of the IDE. In order to create a new TAP application, you just have to click on the create new project and select TAP application from the left menu, and you just have to configure a SDK. So in this case, I'm gonna configure a JDK and point to my Java installation. And once the JDK is loaded up, you click on next and give a name for your project. I'm gonna give TAP app for now, and then click on finish. And then it will present you with a tip. I'm just gonna close it, and you can see the IDE is booted up. So on your left side you can see the project explorer, and on your right side you can see the source code editor. So moving on to the project, you can see your source codes are in the com.tap.app folder, and your resources file like the application properties, messages properties are in the resource folder, and your web XML in the web IDE folder. So moving on, in the config util, this is just a utility class to read your application properties and your relevant messages properties. That's all this class is for. And the main part in this application relies in SMS service. So when you take a look at the SMS service, you can, from top you can see there's a message is read from the message.properties, and you can see the application ID, the password, and a logger is created for logging issues. To send a SMS to this application, you need to have the URL pattern. So to identify the URL pattern, to go to the web XML file, and you can see a servlet mapping is added to the web XML, and you can see the URL pattern is configured as SMS. To start the application, you can select this TAP runner from the toolbar, and you can click the run button. Wait for the application to be deployed. So now you can see your application is deployed and the port is configured on 8080. So you can change it later time as well. I'll show you how. Now we showed you how your application is being deployed. Now in order to test this application, you can click on this rightmost icon on the toolbar. It will open up your TAP simulator on the browser. You can see the TAP simulator is been loaded up. I'm going to clear up all the previous messages, and so to send an SMS to your application, change the port to 8080 and your project name, which is TAP app for me, and then add the SMS as the URL pattern which is configured in the web XML. And now you can send a SMS and wait for the response to be received. Now you can see hello world is received to the simulator. For demonstration purposes, I'll change my response message to you sent plus the MO message, and deploy the application. and head over to the simulator. My URL is pre-configured. I'm just gonna send a message. My MO will be test message. So now you can see the response is received as you sent and my MO message. So now you have a basic idea on the SMS flow of the TAP IDE. Now I will move into the USSD part. To create a USSD application, right click on the project source file, click new, and then from the drop down you can select TAP receiver services and select USSD receive service. I'm gonna say USSD service as a class name, and you can see two methods have been implemented from the UMO USSD listener. First thing, you need to add a USSD message processor to your class. To do that, press on Alt and Insert, and from the pop-up box select USSD message processor. I'm gonna move this part into my initialization method. And there are a couple of exceptions to be handled. That's it. Now moving on, you can see your application ID and the password has been set in the app config. To set your own application ID, I'm gonna use config util and read the application ID from the property file .id, similar to password as well. App.password. Now, how do you add USSD menus to your application? You can see the USSD message processor accepts a list of menus. So the default menu, first menu, has been set as in the initial code. So to move into the default first menu, press on the control button and click on it. So looking at the this default first menu class, you can see it's implemented from the menu interface, and two methods have been implemented as well. This get message method is responsible of providing the message which needs to be displayed upon the USSD request, and the get next menu is responsible of providing the ID of the next menu. So to test this application, you need to have the URL pattern as well. So to do that, similar to SMS MO, go to the web.xml file. You can see a servlet mapping has been added to USSD receiver as well. So the URL pattern is USSD, and I'm gonna start the I'm gonna deploy the application and move into the head on to the simulator as well. So to test the USSD application, go over to the USSD tab and then configure your port, which is 8080, and your project name, TAP app, and finally USSD URL. And I'm gonna clear up all the previous messages and send the USSD message. And you can see the response is received to the simulator, welcome to the default menu, which is the main message configured in the default first menu class. Now I'll show you how to create a sample USSD application. To do so, right click on the project explorer, select new, and create a Java class. I'm gonna specify as main menu as the class name. Click OK, and now you should implement this class from menu, and then you have to implement whatever the methods in the menu class. To do so, you have to press Alt and enter, select enter, click OK, Now two methods will be added to your class. This get message method will be responsible of the message which needs to be rendered on upon a request. So I'm going to create a string builder here, which is easy for me to manipulate strings. And I'm gonna say one for fried rice, and the new line character, and 2 for orange juice, and I'm gonna return this string builder.toString. So we need to specify this message, this menu should be rendered as the home menu, like the main menu. So to do that, we need to annotate this class with index annotation, and each menu have a ID. So to configure that ID, you have to annotate this class with config and set ID as, I'm gonna say home, and another property called end. So this end is to specify whether this menu is an end, the end of the flow or not. So since this is my first menu, I'm gonna say false, and that's it. In the get next menu, I need to specify the logic which needs to be rendered upon a user request. So to do that, I'm gonna get the content from the MOUSSD request, get message, and then trim it. So I need to redirect the USSD request if only the user sends 1 or 2. So if the content is equals to 1, and then the purchase success menu should be rendered. If content equals 2 also, the same menu should be rendered, or else the home menu should be re-rendered. So upon developing a USSD application, you need to save session data very oftenly. Like if you need to do a cache call, or maybe show the output of the application, you need to save session data. For that, we have specified this session as a method parameter, and you can add this session data into this method parameter. So I'm going to show you how to add a session value holder. From session, you need to get value holders and create a new value holder. Value holder is basically a key pair value. You have a key and a value. So if it's 1, it's fried rice, and I'm gonna save the price as well. Get value holders, add new value holder, and price as 250 rupees. And similarly to the, if user selects 2, and then the item should be orange juice, and the price should be 150. So now your basic menu structure is done. Now we need to have a purchase success menu as well. To do so, again right click on the project structure, select new Java class, and purchase success as the class name. Since this is not a main menu, it's not a home menu, I don't have to add the index annotation, but I need to have this config annotation. So the ID of this menu should be as same as the return value of the main menu. And since this is the end of my flow, USSD flow, I'll specify the end as true, and I'm gonna implement this. This should be implemented from the menu interface as well, and should implement the messages, the methods as well. So the message, again, I'm gonna have a string builder, and I need to access the session data in order to show the thank you message. To do so, you just have to call upon this session parameter, and item should be. Now you can access this session data from get value by key. So I added the item name as the item, key should be item, and the price as similarly price. Session get value by key price, and I'm gonna create my thank you message using these parameters. Return thank you for purchasing item. And since I don't have any more menus after this, I'm just gonna leave this get next menu as it is. So now I can test my application. To do so, we need to add these menus to the menus property in the USSD message processor. So it doesn't have to be in a particular order. I can add purchase success menu and then even my main menu. So now everything is in order. I'm gonna start my application and head over to the simulator, clear all the previous messages, and then send the request. Now you can see my main menu has been displayed on the USSD response, and then I'm gonna select orange juice, and now you can see the thank you message is displayed as well. So this way you can create USSD applications very easily without having to worry about the session handling or anything else except your business logic. With this new addition, you only have to focus on your application and your business logic. One other thing I have to mention is that TAP IDE is fully open source, and you can go to github.com and fork the project and play with it by yourself. You can create new sample application which suits your needs, extend this IDE to other languages since at this stage it only supports Java, report any issues you come across when you are developing an application, and if you are lucky you get to fix those bugs as well. So head on to GitHub, fork the repository and play with it today. With that, we conclude our webinar on TAP IDE, which is in line with the TADHack 2015 that falls on 13th and 14th of June. It is the only global hackathon happening in Sri Lanka for telco application development. You can register by heading over to tadhack.com/2015, and to get additional information about the event, stay tuned with our Facebook event page and our website devspace.zenitmobile.com. The next and the final webinar of this series, which covers in-app purchasing with web, will be happening on 26th of May, 4 PM onwards. So make sure you register to that as well. Thank you and happy coding.